Money mantra. Money mantra. Manage your mind. Manage your money. All right, everybody. We are here with another episode of the Money Mantra. This is your host, Caesar Visuals the Mudio, and today I am here with a writer, healer, spiritual teacher, tarot reader, and her name is Raven Mardirosian. Please say hello, miss.
Hi, how are you, Caesar? You did all right with the last name. Got a little bit off, but it's all right.
Did I do okay? I was really worried about it, but apparently
it's actually Mardirosian.
Mardirosian.
You said the M.
Mardirosian. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I know it. Well, we're here. I got a little bit of it, and you are here, Raven. You got it perfectly,
Yes.
though. You got it perfectly.
This is true. And if you remember Raven, you'll do all right.
You know what? I think we're gonna stick with Raven the rest of the way.
Awesome.
All right, Raven. So listen, I want to start first off with something that's specific to your line of work. But before I get into that question, I wanted you to add on anything else that you want to add about yourself.
That pretty much wraps it up. I have a lot of different things that I like to engage in. You know, I'm a Gemini, and if you know anything about Geminis, we are always curious and looking for new ways of thinking and seeing the world. And I'm always open to trying new things, but definitely my writing and my healing work are what people know me by. But I was really happy to see you on Instagram. I mean, I love talking about this, especially with healers and money. It's a really important topic, so I'm glad that I found you on Instagram. I think it's really important work that you're doing.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate it. So listen, something that goes right along with what you do that I'm very interested in is what's the number one problem that you see, or if not necessarily a problem, but that source where you find a lot of pain or maybe stress or anxiety that comes from the people that you help heal?
Oh, well, that's it's a big question, and we're not just talking specifically about money here, right?
Correct. Just in general with your healing.
Yeah. Well, I think people are afraid to embrace their power, and that is really, especially women. I work with mainly women, and we've been taught to not embrace our power. And of course, when we walk around and not have that sense of strength and power, it creates a lot of problems and difficulties. And we're seeing even as a whole, as a country right now, that a lot of people feel powerless, and it brings up a lot of triggers. But wherever the triggers are, that's where the healing needs to happen. So I feel like we're having a big spotlight being shown on things about ourselves and our communities that need healing, and that's why I'm really glad to be a part of the work that I do. And I was thinking about it this morning, that it's so important. This period of history is so important, and that's why there's so many healers here, because we have such important work to do, all of us.
I agree. I think it's a perfect time for this kind of work and to make people more, quote unquote, mindful about this kind of work. So yeah, I agree 100% with you. So yeah. Tell me, Raven, this is the Money Mantra, so I'm very interested in what your money mantra is.
I just like to walk around. My newest one are 3 words: strong, whole, and powerful. Those are my 3 words that I use every day for my own empowerment and feeling of success. And it's important to have that in my language, because again, it's relearning things that I didn't have before. So strong, whole, and powerful.
Awesome. Could you please tell us what your different streams of revenue are and how you earn them?
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, I am an entrepreneur, so I hustle, basically.
Yeah.
And my hustle is mainly being a healer. I give spiritual guidance through the tarot, but I also work with energy. So I'm a Reiki master, and I do a lot of work with people. And then when you ask the question about healing and stress with people, there's a lot of body work that needs to happen. People hold in tension and stress and worry. And so Reiki really helps to calm that and to release the stress that we can hold in our cellular memory. So that's part of the work that I do. Another stream of revenue is through workshops. I travel all over the country to do workshops. I'm also based in Vermont, and I do local workshops here. But I've just branched out into doing webinars, which are really the wave of the future for me. They're such an amazing way to reach so many people, and I don't have to leave my house, which is just so great.
Yeah.
Like I can just reach the world through my webinars and offer the same teaching, and people can be comfortable in their house. So that's also another stream. I'm self-published on Amazon, so I have 13 books, and that brings me a little bit of royalty and revenue depending on the month. I also sell my books during my workshops. I invest in the stock market. I love playing the stock market. I'm very much a long play. You know, I just invest and buy and hold. I rarely sell. And if I sell, I reinvest in my IRA. So I do play the stock market. And then I just do some private consulting and editing work on the side too. So really, wherever the stream goes, I follow it.
That's awesome. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So we know that you're on a good path here. You've got a lot of great things going on, and you just told us about the different streams of revenue that you have. But what I want to know now in detail is a moment in your life during your worst financial time.
Well, there were many, so it wasn't just one.
Take us to that worst one. I want to really hear about that.
Okay. Well, when I was a full-time teacher in New York City for about 4 years. Before that, I tried to be an artist in New York City, and that was really hard. So I thought, okay, I really need to get a full-time job, and that was around age 30. And I went and became a teacher in the South Bronx and then Manhattan. So teaching in New York isn't the greatest salary, but it's steady, and you have amazing benefits. You know, and especially if you become a tenured teacher, you have a really solid job that can carry you to retirement. And so when I decided to become a healer in 2004, I walked away from all of that. And that was a lot of security for me. And so it really kind of put me in a financial crisis after a few years because, you know, as you're building your brand and you're building your business, you're making a lot of sacrifices unless you have a trust fund or a partner who supports you. I have neither of those. I didn't have those at the time, and I still don't. I mean, it's like we create a world that we desire, but sometimes it takes things time to catch up. So for me, it was my finances. I had to invest some money into things that, you know, I didn't have the capital for, so I had to borrow. I'm still paying that off, but that was a pretty dark time for me because I was basically saying to the universe, hey, here I am. I've discovered my gifts. I want to do this work, but how can I do this work when I have all these bills to pay? And then I had a little bit of pushback from people who said, hey, you're a healer. You shouldn't charge people. You shouldn't make any money from this. This should be free for people. And I had to learn that, you know, Jesus may have been able to take bread out of the air and make bread out of the air, but Jesus didn't have a car payment. So it's like, you know, it's a different world that we live in sort of urban, modern society as healers. So that was a pretty tough time for me because I was always just, you know, basically hand to mouth, check to check. It was very difficult.
Wow, you know, what I'm really getting from that is that you found a way that you had to pretty much just, you know, maintain yourself regardless of whether you had that support or not, and you had to continue to follow through with what you wanted. And I like how you mentioned that, you know, at the times, you know, Jesus was able to make bread or just grab it out of thin air. But yeah, times are different. Times are very different.
Right.
And I think in your line of work, it's very difficult to balance that. I know me and you had that conversation before, and I'm great that you've been able to, you know, pretty much be one with yourself about it. That's great.
It's a long process. You know, I tell people if they want to leave their full-time job and go into healing work, they should hold on to their job and do it part-time, do healing part-time on the side and build. Because if you just drop everything and go, there's a lot more sacrifice to be made and a lot more trust and faith in the beginning because it's still a business. You know, you still got to invest in websites and financial advisors and you're paying taxes at a higher rate. I mean, it's very practical. And we're not living in the 1600s where people would, you know, basically take care of their healers and the healers wouldn't have to charge. It's not that world anymore. People, the exchange is money. It's not chickens and, you know, vegetables anymore. It's money. Definitely. So it's a little bit of a shift, I think, from the modern day healer to feel proud of their work and to be able to charge what they believe their work is worth.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Raven, could you tell me what the number one lesson is that you learned from that experience, and what do you think you would want to give the listeners from that experience?
Well, being an entrepreneur, and I mean that just strictly in any business, is a step of faith. It's always a daily step of faith, and you're still, hustling for clients and you're still budgeting. But for me, it was just learning that I am strong, whole, and powerful, and I'm very adaptable. You could drop me anywhere and I'd figure it out. I just have that personality where I can find community and find the places where I need to work. I know how to do that, but I had to learn too that I'll always be supported. If you put yourself in service to the world, it's not like the divine's going to be like, hey, thanks for noticing that about yourself. Now I leave.
Right.
God or the goddess is going to say, good job. I'm always going to support you and provide for your needs. But that also requires you to kind of work through, and it required me to work through a lot of the sort of resistance and the obstacles that I had around money. Because I grew up in a very Christian environment, so I had a lot of things to work out with that too.
Wow. Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Raven, I want to hear about a most recent change that you've made for your own personal development. Please walk us through the steps that you took to make that change and tell us why you made that change.
Sure. Well, I've been doing this work now for about 12 years. I've made some shifts and changes, but most people know me as a reader and a guide and a Reiki healer. So, but I kept getting the message from my friends who are psychics and intuitives. They said to me, you need to be seen. You need to be seen more. You're too isolated in Vermont. You're too locally based. You got to go out and put yourself out in the world. And I was like, hey, whatever. People will find me. The right people will find me. But I really listened to it after a while because I realized that it is a big world and the internet is amazing. And I just said, okay, time to step out of my comfort zone, right? So I started webinars. I started traveling to the West Coast. I made a lot of contacts on the West Coast where I go out and I do workshops and readings. And it was really, trying something new and stepping out of my comfort zone, which also empowers me and makes me proud of my work. And I meet people that perhaps I never would have met being on the East Coast. So it really was just being seen.
Can you tell me something specific that you may have done to be more seen?
I started webinars, which really, webinars, you put yourself on camera most of the time and do a presentation. So people from all over the world see me. And perhaps they never would have seen me if they were trying to come to a local workshop or even a workshop on the West Coast. So that was really a step out because the work that I do is kind of, I teach the occult sciences and not a lot of people are comfortable with that. So there was a kind of, protective quality around my work. It was like, I don't really want to be seen because I don't want to be hurt. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be told that what I'm doing is wrong and of the devil. So I think I kind of sheltered myself. Mm-hmm. So this was my way of stepping out and saying, okay, I'm going to be seen. I'm going to go to the West Coast and meet a bunch of people I don't know, go on webinars and show my face, basically. And then I expanded my social media presence, too. I opened up LinkedIn and Instagram. I expanded my Facebook presence. So I'm really just trying to put myself out there, virtually and physically.
Yeah, I see that. Would you say any of those social media outlets is better for you than any other one?
I love Instagram. I just love being able to post pictures and connect with people that way. I used to have a Twitter account before it got really laced with ads and a lot of bullying. I was with Twitter when it first started in 2009. I'm not really digging Twitter anymore, so I'm off of that. I like LinkedIn for more of a professional appearance. There's a lot of cool people on LinkedIn, and Facebook is kind of like old school for me. I've done that for a long time, and I've got a nice community there. But I really love Instagram, and I also have an author page on Amazon, so people can see all of my books there and connect with me on there and on Goodreads.
Awesome. Yeah, I love Instagram. That's my personal favorite as well.
Yeah.
All right, Raven. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. We're going to hear a little bit from sponsors that we have for the show, and then we're going to get right back into these final questions, all right?
Awesome.
What's good, my people? So I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but video has 135% greater organic reach over audio, photos, or other type of media posts. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, a podcaster, an artist, or anyone else trying to get an audio message across, the best way to do this is to combine it with video and photo. And you could do this at wave.video. That's WAVVE.video. Just go to their website. You could get a free account. And if you need any support, contact them. I've personally been able to work with Baird Hall. He's the founder. He's an awesome guy. He helped me set up everything for Money Mantra. So please go to wave.video. That's WAVVE.video.
All right, everyone, we are right back here on the Money Mantra. This is your host, Caesar Visuals Zamudio, and we are here with Raven. Raven, we're going to get right into this. I want to know, what is the biggest challenge when dealing with money?
That it comes and goes. As an entrepreneur, you're going to have to get used to it coming and going, and knowing that there's an ebb and a flow to everything.
Most definitely. How about personal mindset? What's your biggest challenge there?
That kind of what we touched on, that healers shouldn't make money or they shouldn't be rich, and that we need to give it away and sort of maintain this modest way of living in the world. And that's something I believe that is not true.
How about your biggest strength when dealing with money? What's that?
I appreciate the energy of money, and I budget it well. And I love that I just can be in this world and live freely. And I certainly don't make a lot of money right now, but I love the idea that I can continue to create abundance and be open to the energy of it. And I do that. I practice that every day.
Awesome. How about strongest personal mindset?
Well, I'm definitely adaptable. I'm smart, and I can take the long view of things with money, with business, and even in worldviews and events. Everybody has a spiritual mission, and I really believe in fulfilling mine, and that's what my goal is for this lifetime, and that's my strength, is to really focus on that.
Awesome. What's the greatest thing you're looking forward to every day in your life?
I do it, actually, and it's really having an open day to do with as I desire. I wake up in the morning, I have my cup of coffee, I look at my day, and I choose what I want to do. And that's such abundance, because most people can't do that.
I agree. That's very powerful to be able to do. Do you have a daily routine or maybe a habit that keeps you focused on your goals?
I do a lot of yoga. I love yoga. I've been practicing a long time. I love to walk outside. Meditation is important for me. I do that in different ways. So it could be walking or sitting in the garden or literally meditating and doing mantras. There's a lot of specific mantras that people can do for financial abundance. You can just go on YouTube and find mantras to Lakshmi or other ways of attracting abundance. And I like to do that. I practice with the tarot. I really love to connect to my spirit in that way. And I generally do that in the morning.
Awesome. Do you have an app, software, service, or any other type of resource that helps you with your money mantra?
I love Insight Meditation. It's a free app, and it keeps me on track with meditation. They do a lot of guided meditation, and you could set a timer for your meditation and put in different sounds and singing bowls. It's a really great app.
Awesome. So, Raven, I know you've wrote tons of books, and maybe you might want to recommend one of those, but do you have something else that you might want to recommend to our listeners, or maybe a film? And tell us why.
Sure. Well, I love the early 20th century thinkers. So there's a lot of, around the robber baron era, so we have writers like Wallace Wattles, Florence Scovel Shinn. These guys they were talking about money before these thinkers and right now talk about it, like Louise Hay and Abraham Hicks. These guys were 100 years before them, and they were writing books in the time of Carnegie and Guggenheim and all the robber barons. And Wallace Wattles' book, The Science of Getting Rich, is very powerful. Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life and How to Play It, life-changing for me. So those are two books people will find very helpful to their own financial success.
Wow, I'm intrigued because I haven't heard of either one, so I'm definitely going to be looking for both of those.
Yeah, go online, because on YouTube they have Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. They have YouTube videos where people read the book, and it's very powerful stuff because we're living in a similar age now.
Yeah, I agree. I just recently started reading Napoleon Hill, and I feel like it's so perfect right now. I can't believe how perfect it is.
Yeah, you'll love him because he's around the time of Wattles. It's all the same new thought.
Awesome. Love it. Now, this right here is probably my favorite question because this is something I've thought about since I was a little kid, and I'm sure many of us have. What would you do, or maybe what have you done with your first $1 million?
I love that question. I have not made $1 million yet, but I will. And the question is so wonderful because it makes me want to manifest that money.
Love it.
So I'd pay off all of my debt. That's the first thing I would do. I'd invest in the stock market. And then I'd give to charity, animals, earth, charities, nature, and I'd take a really long, luxurious vacation.
I love that last one. That's so great. That is so great. All right, Raven. So listen, we're gonna wrap up right now, but I want to ask you one final question. Could you tell us a little bit about Tarot Talk? I know you used to have your own podcast, and I'm interested in that.
I did a podcast back in 2009 through Blog Talk Radio. It's still on iTunes. It's free. And I would interview with my co-host, Georgiana Bunka. We would interview really tarot readers, luminaries, thinkers in that world. And we talk a lot about becoming a healer and how to embrace and develop your intuitive gifts. So we did about 32 episodes of that. And I just love doing it because I love to talk to people about this. And everybody has a unique perspective. So if you're especially interested in the tarot and the magical arts, I would encourage you to listen to my podcast.
Awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out. Raven, could you give us some final personal advice, and please definitely tell us where we could find you?
Sure. So you can find me at Shivaya Wellness, which is my personal website. That's SHIVAYA wellness.com. Raven Mardirosian. I'm all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, Amazon, LinkedIn, Goodreads. I'm around. And my final piece of advice or guidance would be just to focus on what's your spiritual mission here and to rise above the clamor of what's happening right now in the world, because as healers and thinkers, it's important for us to take the long view and not get involved in just this short-term anxiety, because if everybody's there, then who's going to guide, So turn off the news, put out as much positive energy as you can, because it all matters. It does matter. And it's hard to believe that when we see something to the contrary, but a lot of that is just the energies that are commingling right now. And I would say really try to maintain a strong, positive energy as much as possible, because it does matter.
Thank you so much, Raven, and I truly appreciate your time. And as always, I want to thank you, and I want to wish you and all our listeners nothing but peace, blessings, and hundreds of lessons. This is the Money Mantra.
Thanks so much.